Graphic representation of the globe will be discussed by MINGUEZ Joanna May, CASINILLO, Gladdy Jane, CALCIS Cherry May, AVELINO Kyla, De Guzman Rachel, CREDO, Ryan, and Zell. The globe is the earliest extant terrestrial globe made in 1492 by Martin Behem, a German mapmaker and merchant, with the help from the painter George Glockendon. He called this globe the numbered terrestrial globe and now known as the Erdapfel. The globe was used by geographers as the closest representation of the Earth. It is a scale model of the Earth that man can see, hold, and understand. It can accurately show the distances, directions, and the shapes and sizes of the areas on Earth. There are two models of a globe. One is terrestrial globe. It is also a three-dimensional model of Earth, usually just called as globe. Terrestrial means relating to or representing Earth as distinct from other planets. It provides the only graphic representation of the Earth without significant distortion or inaccuracy in shape, directions, and relative sizes. The flattering of the Earth at the poles and bulge below the equator are normally disregarded in the construction of the globe. Second is celestial globe. They omit the sun, moon, and planets because the positions of these bodies vary relative to those stars. A model of celestial sphere intended primarily to show the positions of the stars. Representation of stars and constellations as they are located on the apparent sphere of the sky. Celestial globes are used for some astronomical or astrological calculations or as ornaments. Some globes were made in ancient Greece.
Okay, the lines on the globe. First is the meridians or longitude line. The meridians or longitude lines, one set of 24 imaginary lines, measure the distance between west and east. Okay, since circle has 360 degrees, from prime meridian to the west is 180 degrees, and from the prime meridian to the east is also 180 degrees. To reach the 180 degrees, it is also need to reach the international date line that separates the eastern world to the western world. These lines are also known as zones or time zones. Every zones ay nagpipresenta ng oras, 180 degrees or 12 zone from prime meridian to the right ay may pinaka-advance na oras sa mundo. Crossing that zone means you will go back a day since you already in the west. Next.
Next is the parallels or the latitude lines. The lines on the globe that intersect the meridians at the right angles, running from west to east, are called parallels, or the horizontal lines. Halfway between the North Pole and the South Pole is an imaginary latitude called equator. Yung latitude, ito yung measurement ng distance ng north and south ng equator. Ito sa measured with 180 imaginary lines that form circles around the earth, east and west, parallel to the equator. And yung lines na yan na naka-circle sa globe, next ko na slide. Yan, yung naka-circle sa latitude na yan is an imaginary ring linking all points sharing a parallel. And then the equator divides the planet into the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Yung equator, nahati siya sa dalawa. Ito yung northern hemisphere and yung sa taas, and the southern hemisphere, yung sa baba. Each parallel measures 1 degree north and south of the equator, with 90 degrees north of the equator and 90 degrees south of the equator. And yung latitude of the North Pole is 90 degrees N, and yung sa latitude of South Pole naman is 90 degrees S. And there are four special latitude lines assigned with special names for specific purposes. They mark certain conditions and results of the relationship between the Earth and the Sun. There are four special parallels of the latitude mark a specific area of the planet that has unique relationship with the Sun. Ito yung Tropic Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Antarctic Circle, and Arctic Circle and Antarctic Circle. And first is the Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer runs 20 degrees 30 minutes north latitude and marks the northernmost area in which the sun passes directly overhead and its most vertical position at noon. This event occurs during the summer solstice for the northern hemisphere, which usually June 21 or 22. The Tropic Cancer also is the northern border of an area called the tropics. Because the sun consistently stays high in the sky year-around, the tropics do not experience a range of seasonal climate changes. Hindi sila nag-experience ng seasonal climate. And the Tropic of Cancer passes through 17 countries. Ito yung Mexico, Bahamas, Western Sahara, Mali, Algeria, Nigeria, Libya, Chad, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Oman, India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, and China. Next.
So next we have the Tropic of Capricorn. It is located at south of equator, marks the southernmost limit of the sun intense vertical, a condition that occurs on December 22, making the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere. The parallel also makes up the southern border of the tropic areas. The Tropics of Capricorn passes through 10 countries. These are the Chile, Argentina, Paraguay, Brazil, Namibia, Botswana, South Africa, Mozambique, Madagascar, and Australia. Then next we have the Arctic Circle. Arctic Circle is the northern frigid zone of the Earth and marks the limit of the sun tangentially in the northern hemisphere. The Antarctic Circle runs at 66 degrees 30 minutes north latitude, making it the northernmost special parallel of latitude. Then, itong Antarctic Circle, pag winter, hindi na araw or gabi lang talaga siya, or mas kilala sa tawag na polar night. And pag summer naman, doon naman walang gabi, puro araw naman siya kahit na madaling araw na or alas 12 na ng madaling araw, ganun. Then next, the Arctic Circle runs through the 8 countries. These are Russia, Canada, United States, Greenland, Norway, Finland, Sweden, and the Iceland. Then last, we have the Antarctic Circle, the southern frigid zone of the Earth, and marks the limit of sun's tangential rays in the southern hemisphere. Okay. It runs at 66 degrees, 30 minutes south latitude and marks the northern point of the Earth where the sun remains visible for 24 hours during the southern hemisphere summer solstice. Then dito sa letter D, pag summer naman, same lang din siya. Puro araw lang siya, hindi siya gumagabi. Minsan tawag rin dito is midnight sun. Then pag winter naman, puro gabi lang, hindi din siya umaaraw. Then, the Antarctic Circle passes through only one body of land, and this is Antarctica. Next.
The grid system. The Earth grid or geographic grid, a grid-like pattern formed by the imaginary lines of latitude and longitude in the Earth's surface, known as the Earth grid or geographic grid. The latitudinal or longitudinal extensions are required to locate precisely any place on Earth. Hippocrates is the one who invented the global grid some 2,200 years ago as chief librarian of the Great Library in Alexandria, Egypt. Hippocrates compiled information about the lands and cities all over the expanding Greek world. Earth is divided into 60 strip zones, each being a 6-degree band of longitude. First is latitude. It can be north latitude from equator going north, or it can be south latitude from equator going down. Longitude. It can be west longitude from prime meridian going left, or it can be east longitude from prime meridian going right. Next.
Yeah. So a place's absolute location at its exact place on Earth, often given in terms of latitude and longitude. For example, the Empire State Building is located at 4.7 degrees north latitude, 74 degrees west longitude. It sits at the intersection of 33 3rd Street and 5th Avenue in New York City. Place's absolute location is the positioning of something relative to another landmark. Example, you might say you're 50 miles west of Houston. An absolute location describes a fixed position that never changes regardless of your current location. It is defined by coordinates such as latitude and longitude. So how are you going to read coordinates? For example, 41 degrees, 56 minutes, 54.3732 seconds north, and the longitude reads as 87 degrees, 39 minutes, 19.2224 seconds west. So how are you going to get location using longitude and latitude? You always need to start with the line of latitude. Also, the latitude lines are the ones that go in side to side. The lap lines are the flat lines. That is all. Thank you.